methods are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremont.
Oh, yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Dunkin' and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cooler.
And now, the guys that went on a beer run for 2 years.
Welcome to BGFG episode 493. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, Mr. Free Mosey. How are you doing this week, sir?
I am doing quite well.
Oh, good. It's really all I had this morning.
I have all by myself.
That's good. That's good. It's been an interesting week. Weird stuff going on. A lot of weird things in the news, actually, like strange things. Like it's evident that times they are a changing for everything. I mean, we've talked about breaches. I had to tell some people at work today, some clients, not today, but this week, I had to tell some clients. I'm like, look, it's every day there's a breach. Every day there's something else going on. There's either a story about AI, or there's a story about the administration doing something weird, or there's a story about breaches. Like, this is a different time now, and people need to handle it in a lot of ways. You know, it's the normal isn't the normal anymore. You know what I mean? It's things are changing, and we have to kind of adapt to it and move it on.
In
Look,
ways that would surprise a lot of people.
yeah, I mean, you don't have to like it. Like, even the stuff that we talk about, you don't have to like it. But it's just, this is the way it goes now, and we kind of got to get used to that. You know, kind of like the first story we're going to do today. So let's get into this week's news, and we'll start kicking it up.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So Facebook this week, I can't even believe I'm leading a story on this show with Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry, Meta. Meta actually did some good. And I can't even, I mean, maybe that's why I put it in the top of the show. Because Facebook actually did some good. There's an Israeli surveillance group, NSO, and they're going to pay $168 million in damages to Meta. They use WhatsApp to deploy the Pegasus spyware, and this was a spyware that we talked about. And they used WhatsApp to do it, and WhatsApp is supposed to be like super secure. This was a 6-year trial. It exposed the cyber mercenaries and what the governments that they work with can and do hire them. You know, this is, again, one of those problems. This is a legitimate problem. This is a group that makes a living. Oh, what the hell was that for? This was a group that literally makes a living on selling their spyware to the highest bidder, really. And the spyware is pretty bad. All the attacker had to do was call you via the app. You didn't even have to answer. As long as your device was on, the spyware would install. It compromised 1,400 people, or I should say 1,400 WhatsApp accounts before it was patched. So this company got paid, and it gets paid by governments to attack, say, 15 phones for surveillance purposes, of course. You know, why else would they attack these phones? That would cost you, for 15 phones, $7 million. Like, this is big money stuff, Free. You know?
Yeah.
Game changes stuff. And I'm sure that it's all on the books and legal. You know? I'm sure of it. And with an additional $1 to $2 million for phones outside of their borders, they'll hack them for you. I can't believe I'm saying this, but thanks Meta for exposing this. Thank you Zuckerberg for spearheading this. Yeah, all you got is the giggle.
Well, I did a little research,
Oh,
right?
did you? Yeah.
Yeah. NSO Group,
Mm,
primarily backed, funded, whatever you want to call it, by a company called Cube Cybertech,
okay.
who is predominantly owned by Novel Pina Capital,
Oh, you did some
who is
digging.
predominantly owned or backed, however you want to say it, by something called Genesis Partners, all the way back to something called Insight Venture Partners. And Insight Venture Partners is founded and created by Jeff Horing and Jerry Murdoch.
Like Murdoch, like media conglomerate Murdoch?
Um, no,
Okay.
no, he's a venture capitalist, for lack of a
Uh,
better term.
great. So the deeper you dig, the worse it gets, is what you're telling us.
Um,
The more
it's
convoluted.
basically, yeah. I mean, you've got people. Okay, so for instance, Jerry Murdoch is also heavily invested in Flipboard, Ad Colony, Path, Clout, Docker, Famo.us, Hortonworks, Nest. And you look into a lot of these things, and a lot of them are things that we've touched on that the government uses without public knowledge to gain
A lot of
information.
times. Yeah. Yep.
And the interesting thing is, in that chain that I listed, um, it was either Genesis Partners or Insight Venture Partners. One of those firms was founded by all ex Mossad.
Convenient. Convenient. So again,
They're backed by Jeff Horing and Jerry Murdoch. They're the ones who basically put the money in place that set this chain up.
so proving yet again with very little search from two absolute morons, we can point a direction in the fact that this stuff goes on this is like normal business. An example I would give to what Fremo just explained was I had to explain to two different clients this week that your security is an illusion. That all of these things that we do are constantly backed and done. For instance, like I was saying, I had to explain to two clients that a data broker company is not an illegal company. It's not some nefarious people sitting in a basement somewhere. This is a legitimate company. On the good side, the data broker gets a phone call from Meta that says, "Hey, look, it's springtime or it's getting into school time. I need, or better yet, the Mead Notebook Company needs to target 18 to 34-year-old females for buying stuff for school or parents for buying something for school. And they can buy a chunk of data of email addresses and things like that to send out marketing. That's the way a data broker kind of works. At the same time, this is a data broker company that is there to make money. If somebody comes up to them and just simply says, "Hey, I need uh elderly women from 58 to 72 for face cream." Data broker company doesn't give a crap. Hey, is that money green? Did the check clear?
Right.
And they get it, and who cares what they're going to do with that? Even though it's going to be all a spear phishing attack. It's just there's not going to be any regulation. I feel for a long time and stuff like this. There's just not. There's too many holes. I mean, granted, Primo took what 20 minutes to find the bottom of that little run.
Yeah. In just simple searches, it literally was who backs NSO Group. Got that name. Who backs them? Who backs them? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is when you get to the final two names,
Mm.
not a whole lot about these guys out there.
No.
Other than they have a bunch of money, they invest in different groups.
Now, is there a program out there that can scrub you completely like you see on Fast and Furious movies? No. Well, I don't know for sure, but I can tell you with all
There
assurity
is a
that
way.
if you have enough money, you could pretty much hire a group to spend 6 months scrubbing your name from the internet. And because a lot of these rich people use shell companies to make their money, they're also protected. And it goes back to what we talked about with Walmart, with the owners of Walmart. They are so uh, walled in front of them that even when something horrible happens, like a Walmart driver mows down a bunch of people on a sidewalk, the company's got a problem, but those owners do not have a problem because they'll just pass the buck. Nope, that's this division. This division is headed by this person. Go talk to them. That's the way this sort of thing works, and it's pretty sad because as we've said on the show before, the rich get rich and the poor get poorer. You have Facebook taking a stand or Meta taking a stand against these type of people, but then you have companies that whether you like or not are failing miserably because of different situations. And the next story kind of points that out. Weight Watchers is claiming bankruptcy. And I'm not saying like, yay, Weight Watchers. I don't use Weight Watchers, though I should. but but the idea of Weight Watchers is, they're a long-standing weight loss company. And they're filing for bankruptcy. I mean, they've had celebs like Jennifer Hudson, Charles Barkley, Oprah, Kirstie Alley, Valerie
Yeah.
Bertinelli. The main problem, everyone's going for the big pharma option of the jab. Now, how many times when we were younger, Gen X was younger, we would see Weight Watchers commercials on all the time. Or we'd see grandma or an aunt like, nope, I can't have that to eat. I got my Weight Watchers meals.
Yeah.
Good on you. Good on you for taking the initiative for your health. 100% agree with you. And Weight Watchers did a good job doing it. There was no weird thing going on or weird diet pills or anything. But now we move forward. Big Pharma comes out with this jab, Ozempic and Mounjaro, that you can inject yourself. You'll lose, and we've seen the commercials. Why? Because they can afford all those commercials, and they just pepper the entire. They again, like data brokers, they isolate. Okay, daytime dramas like the old soap operas or certain shows at night. My wife and I laugh hysterically sometimes because we'll be watching a. For instance, we were anyway. Let me back up a little bit. They will target the audience. That's what they do. So this particular audience is going to be largely females between this age and this age. So they're going to put that out there. A lot of overweight or obese people watch this particular show. So they're going to put that and that on there. And they have the money to do that. That's why you don't see a lot of Weight Watchers ones. And when you do, it's usually once in a blue moon and it's with a celebrity like Oprah or Kirstie Alley or somebody like that. But at the same time, we'll be watching TV some nights, and the other night we were watching a car show, like one of those car repair shows. And it was like sanitary napkins and there was another one for child daycare or something. But it's like, okay, did you guys just run out of money and just like what
Yeah.
was your
Who
target audience
picked
here?
who
Yeah.
picked the ads for this show?
But Big Pharma
Now
has
I saw an interesting clip this past week, and I didn't even know this. Which as much as we've talked about Big Pharma, um, it's scary.
mm,
But it was a congressional hearing
mhm,
with
love
some
those.
guy who's high up in an insurance company, right?
Hmm.
And the guy questioning him was like, "So you're saying competition is good for the market?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "So why shouldn't we break you guys up then?" He's like, "Well, no." And he's like, "Wait, hold on." And then he starts spitting facts. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" It's like the top three biggest health insurance companies own the top two big pharma companies that are now have started buying and I forget the term, but it's some intermediary between big pharma and the actual physical pharmacies.
Yep.
It's some conglomerate in there, and they now own a majority of that. Thing is now buying pharmacies.
Yeah.
Like Walgreens,
Yeah.
CVS, and the guy's like, "So explain to me how this is good, because prices haven't gone up or haven't gone down; they've gone up. In my state, 75 pharmacies have closed. We've got 2 counties with no pharmacies because they can't compete.
Yep.
Da 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 da. And here we are, Weight Watchers, a good company,
Mhm.
had a good solid product, and they can't compete
No. Because Big Pharma
because
has too money.
someone's come out with boom. Now you can eat what you want and lose weight. Just
Right.
take this shot.
And they don't
What's
tell
this
you.
shot doing to your body?
Correct. There is side effects, which I didn't write down, of course. There is side effects. Look them up. You'll see them on the and again, if you subscribe to any sort of digital media at this point, you will see Big Pharma commercials, and it's hysterical. My wife and I just sit there, we watch the commercials because we want to hear the side effects. Like like I'm going to get rid of my plaque psoriasis, which I'm not making a joke about. I'm just saying we can get rid of my plaque psoriasis. You may go blind. You may have anal bleeding. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of these side effects. Ozempic and Mounjaro do have side effects. And one of the key things they tell you on this is, and the people are walking, and it'll say like, I lost 40 pounds in a month. I lost 23 pounds, and I'm going to keep it off. They don't tell you is that, of course, it's good diet and exercise. This will help. You know, I've dropped weight recently. Just I'm not taking a jab. But then one of the disclaimers immediately is that if you get off of this, you will gain that weight back. So, like Fremo was stating,
Yeah.
what exactly is this doing to your body? Where a company like Weight Watchers was like, hey, look, we're going to teach you how to eat right. We're going to set you up if you do the full blown plan. We're going to set you up with a little bit of a exercise regimen that you can start with to keep that weight off. This is a 60-year-old company, and they're going to write off about $1.5 billion in losses they had last year. It was $346 million. Their subscription, they're going to remain open and they're going to restructure some of their businesses. So here's the thing. The needle's going to give you what you want, but you still need to
There
make
was
the changes.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best way to lose weight is to make small changes that gradually become bigger and bigger in your daily life.
Exactly. Weight
Eat
Watchers.
a little less,
Yep.
walk a little further,
Yep.
that kind of a thing. And ultimately, you'll lose the weight gradually over time, but in that process, you're developing a lifestyle that allows you to keep it off. All these other gimmicks,
Or
sure, you'll lose
gimmicks.
the weight, but you haven't done anything to
Right. They're
change.
gimmicks.
So as soon as you come off the shot, as soon as you quit doing this diet, as soon as you quit doing whatever, it comes right back. And usually it comes back worse, and it's even harder the next time.
So anybody
But
that's
ozemic side effects, stomach problems, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, constipation, low blood sugar, i.e., hypoglycemia, which not necessarily life threatening, but can cause some serious issues. If you go into hypoglycemic shock, you lose consciousness. You do that while you're driving, you could die. Pancreatitis, changes in
Yeah.
vision, kidney failure, gallbladder problems, food or liquid getting into the lungs.
that is so many levels of not good. I mean, look, the way I've done it so far is I started moderately exercising, like you said, going for walks. You know, each walk you try to do it a little bit more, getting out there, moving your body. But the biggest for me personally, and any other big person that's listening to the show, the biggest for me was two things: not eating to be full, just eating to not be hungry anymore. Um, and portion size.
Yeah.
Because we grew up, a lot of Gen Xers grew up with the whole finish your plate, clean your plate. There's people starving in Africa. Well, I don't need to finish my plate. If I'm done, then I'm done. I can give it to the dog. I can put it away for leftovers. Doesn't matter. And Weight
Yeah,
Watchers did.
see, when I grew up, it was who could eat the fastest so they could get more.
Yeah, that was also another thing. All right.
Because the first plate you were given was enough, like you said, it was enough to not be hungry. but we wanted to see what it was like to be full.
But wait, good news is that Weight Watchers said they're
Everybody's
not
got
done.
little stab marks in their hands for reaching for that
Oh,
last piece of chicken.
yeah, get hit with the fork. Weight Watchers said they're not done yet. Now their program is going to be more geared toward healthy living beyond your initial weight loss. So again, they're
Yeah.
pivoting, which I hate to use that term, but they are pivoting, which is good. I hope they're around for a while. And on the other side of the aisle, we have McDonald's. Oh my God. McDonald's reported their biggest sales drop, and so they should. But
Yeah. First of all, the quality of their food has.
is
I mean,
awful.
it's never been. I take that back. I remember being like 8 years old, stopping at a McDonald's on a family vacation because they had an extra $20 and the whole family
Yeah,
ate for $20.
right.
Right? You know what? It was not bad. The fries were hot. The burger was fresh. It was great. Loved it. Fast forward to now, their food quality, even just in the last 5 years, has degraded noticeably. Prices have done nothing but continue to go up. Like I don't particularly like McDonald's. I'll eat it if there's nothing else going on, or someone comes home and says, "Hey, I picked up some McDonald's." I'm like, okay. It's like $60
Yeah.
for 4 or 5 people to actually
I,
get what they want at McDonald's. It's ridiculous.
if I'm going to fast food in a pinch, I am not picking McDonald's. I will drive farther
Yeah.
not to go to McDonald's because I feel they are
Oh,
the
there's so
worst.
many better choices than that, man.
I I feel that they are the worst tasting and the worst health choice of all the fast foods. Burger King is better and tastes
Yeah.
better. And now they're saying that the drop is
Wendy's,
and
Checkers,
they're
Sonic,
saying yes. They're saying
a
that
local mom and pop burger place, anything. I would I would put Taco Bell above McDonald's.
it's tough, but yeah, I might do that same thing.
Not that I want Taco Bell either, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So McDonald's is saying that the drop in their money, their funds, is because of the economy.
Bullshit.
McDonald's has said, and get this, that they are trying to gain back the enthusiasm from low-income houses. What? That's your target audience. You do realize that you raised the prices, right, McDonald's? That low-income houses are finding it harder to actually enjoy your food, not to mention
The last
the
time the last time I was excited about McDonald's was in high school, and they were doing some throwback, like burgers for 29 cents,
uh-huh,
cheeseburgers for 39 cents.
yeah.
And we'd be, on the bus on the soccer team, and we pile into McDonald's, and everybody would order like 10 cheeseburgers
Yeah,
and,
yeah, a bag of
you
burgers.
know, yeah, so for like less than $5, you're getting 10 burgers, and we're sitting there just wolfing them down.
It's sad. It really is. Their revenue dropped 3.6% in the first 3 months of the year. That's it, 3.6%. Now, on a billion-dollar scale, that might be a lot, but in their eyes, that's a drop in the bucket. Just
Yeah.
another example of greed. Their C-suite is not taking a cut. Investors are begging for more money. Meantime, your managers, get this, McDonald's managers make 54,000 a year on average. To manage a McDonald's, you're getting $54,000 a
Not
year.
not a shift manager, a store manager.
Store manager. This is 28% below average.
Yeah.
28% below the national average. So you
Yeah,
wonder
that's a $75,000 up job easily.
and again, we've changed and we've pointed it out on the show, and this is just another example of the greed in corporate America right now. And it's not going to change until you change with your dollar, until you change with the way you purchase. And that's not the only change we're seeing, Free. Apparently, it's okay to sell your information too, because according to the administration, they're not going to block data brokers from selling Americans' personal financial information anymore. Oh, and that includes your social security number. Remember we told you before about the data brokers just a little bit earlier in the show, and we have told you on the past show about how to go to the Social Security website, lock down your Social Security number with a PIN, because this shit's real now. It's right out there. If you have a company, you need a little money, you sell your client's information to the broker, disguised as a third-party marketing company. Nobody gets hurt, right? In December of 2024, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau said that they would be closing a loophole in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, allowing data brokers to get this information. Well, the director of the organization recently got another job. Can you guess what that job was? It was the White House Office of Management and Budget. Oh, how fucking convenient. Suddenly, the law doesn't align with the Bureau's current interpretation of the act. Could it be that the lobbyists from the Financial Technology Association representing said brokers maybe changed somebody's mind? Told the White House that the act would, and I quote, would be harmful to financial institutions to detect and prevent fraud.
Bullshit.
That is so far from the truth. It is sad. It is definitely sad. I'm wondering if after episode 500, if we should just drop the news segment of the show, because it's the same shit that we're trying to tell people all the time.
Or just pivot to different kind of news.
We
Like
got to find
stuff that
something.
people don't hear about. Like stuff that's not in everybody's face, like happy news of some sort.
Looked.
Like this, for instance. I was laughing a second ago. I got one of those spam texts yesterday.
Yeah.
Talking about my USPS package, and they don't have sufficient information,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yet they've got my phone number, right?
Exactly.
So I sent back, and it's a group. It was like it went out to like 15 people, and I sent back, you can have the package. It was for my pet worm, who my friend accidentally used to bait a hook when we all went fishing last week. So I'm really depressed and don't care.
And
And a couple other people that got the text, they followed suit and sent other things as well. But the last one that just came through was from the person that originally spammed us. It just says F off.
so in parallel lives of myself and Fremo, and people don't believe that, I got a message earlier this week from an unknown number, and it said, "Hey, do you have time to come to my house for a barbecue this weekend?" I responded with "Who dis?" because I'm always down with the barbecue. I just want to make
Right?
sure it's somebody I know. And it
Where
said,
and
"Oh,"
when?
it said, "Excuse me, is this Lucy's number? I'm Julia." So I've been waiting my whole life for a text message like this. So I threw up the whole gif of somebody going, "Oh, really? Tell me more." And I said, "I'm not Lucy, but I am interested in the barbecue. Please tell me more." And of course, that's when I realized that this was again another phishing scam, because it said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was my friend's number. I hope I didn't ruin your day. By the way, I don't mind multiple plates if you want to join. Just contact this number," which is a totally
Right.
different number. I'm like, come on, man. I was all excited to actually make somebody giggle or just add something, a spice to somebody's life, just to be funny. And it's a phishing scam. Yet another phishing scam. It's getting out of control.
You
You
should have
know,
sent back, I'll contact that number, but can you please send it to this number? Because I can't use this phone to contact them.
I don't. And again, back to what we were saying with the Social Security cards and stuff to prevent fraud. So everything they said, it's like saying if we don't raise the price of gas, there's going to be way too many accidents and cars on the road.
Yeah.
That's just dumb shit. And this is the stuff. You know what else? The administration recently made a dramatic cut. You know what to, you know what to. And it just again, it's one of these things that just pisses me off on a weekly basis putting the show together. The administration recently made cuts to PBS and NPR. Okay. Now you might be thinking about PBS. We saw the drives growing up on TV. You send $25 and you get a nice canvas bag that has your local PBS station letters on the front. And then you hear about NPR and you might instantly think of the SNL skit of Betty Balls. But
Actually, I
they're,
think of their, what's it called? Small desk concert or something?
oh yeah, Tiny Desk concerts are awesome.
Tiny desk concert. Yeah.
Tiny Desk concerts are badass. If you haven't looked at a Tiny Desk
That's the only,
concert,
in my opinion, that's the only good thing that's come out of NPR in a long time.
it's awful, but not untrue.
And I'm not talking like politics. I mean, I could care less about the politics one way or the other that they may or may not be talking about.
Yeah,
I just want quality entertainment, and
right.
listening to a bunch of politics is not quality entertainment to me.
I get it. But both NPR and PBS is important to our society. Yes, they are federally funded. The public broadcast system is public broadcast system. National Public Radio, NPR, is National Public Radio, which means that no big corporation owns them and tells them what to say, which we've proven on the show numerous times that your local TV station is owned by a conglomerate that dictates what is said. John Oliver has proven time and time again with clips of every news organization, all these different local channels saying the exact same
Across the
thing off a
country.
teleprompter.
Yeah, reading the same script. Yeah.
Correct. But according to the current administration and the subcommittee, which I might add, the subcommittee was, guess who was on the subcommittee? The chairwoman? Marjorie Taylor Greene. That piece of crap. She is just,
NTJ
oh, she is a
or
horrible,
NTG.
she's a horrible human being. The committee has gone as far as to state that out of DC NPR office, 87 registered Democrats and 0 Republicans out of that office. When asked the committee about these numbers, the NPR CEO, Catherine Mahar, said, we don't track those numbers, so we don't even know where you've gotten them. Like they don't
Right.
ask, you don't apply for NPR or PBS to go, hey, what's your political views? You don't. It's just reporters reporting. When trying to find out who exactly said the quote, instead of blaming Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I looked it up. I want to see who said that quote, if it was her or not. And when I searched for that exact quote in Google, I literally came across a blank screen, as if the search engine just stopped. I have never, ever in my entire career or life have gotten
What
a
was the
blank
quote?
screen. I don't know. Look it up in the show notes. Hold on. Let me hit the other button.
I don't have access to the show
I'm
notes.
going back. Yeah, you do. Hold on. I'm going back. Gotta go back. It's not super fast, but I'm going back. No big corporation.
If by show notes you mean the links, yes. If you mean the other stuff that you always talk about being in the show notes, no, I don't have access to that.
Yeah, did I not write it down? I might not have written it down. It's so not right. Anyway, the quote that's in there, I'll cross it in a second. The quote that's in there, I thought it was Marjorie Taylor Greene that said it, and it wasn't. It was apparently a blank, like I said, it was a blank screen completely. Oh, it was the committee that says, it was the person that said that it was 87 registered Democrats and 0 Republicans. When I went to go look that up, it didn't track anything. Like if you read the article in the show notes and grab that quote and search for it, it comes up with a blank screen. I looked on 2 different computers. The quote is this. Oh, I got the quote. The quote was this. Quote, they receive millions of dollars from
Paste it
taxpayers.
into the chat real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna have to type it because I can't cut.
Great. I looked up Ozempic side effects earlier, right? And now every ad popping up on my screen is Ozempic.
Taxpayers to spread. Oh, I spelled that awful, so enjoy that spelling. So anyway,
Control C, Control V.
I can't. It's on the teleprompter. So the quote is, they receive millions of dollars from taxpayers to spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. When I searched that exact quote, nothing. But again, I believe I got the translation right. It's hard to tell because the whole clip was in black and white and they were speaking German. Yeah, I did that joke again and you didn't laugh again. So maybe I should just stop doing that joke. It just seems like a lot of this stuff is like from that era of World War II. It's just, how are you going to sit there and justify saying that quote? How are you going to justify saying that the NPR and PBS received millions of dollars?
Taxpayers to spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. That came from, this just says the White House.
Right. Then when you search for it, you get a white page.
Let me see if we can find that exact, how that came out of the White House.
It's just getting ridiculous. NPR and PBS are important. They are. Whether you like them or not, whether you listen to them or not, they are important. They're mostly unbiased, and they will tell you, just like a good editorial in a paper will tell you, this is an editorial, this is my opinion. Where the rest of the newspaper should be unbiased. We had a problem with the Wall Street Journal, where one of the reporters said, well, I'm not going to take back my statement. I'm not going to pull my story. These are facts that I researched and I found. And Jeff Bezos, owning the paper company, maybe it was the New York Times. Jeff Bezos got her fired for stating the truth because you didn't like the truth. And now when we were growing up, it was very much like, well, if you look at the Wall Street Journal, it leans this way. If you look at the New York Times, it leans this way. But you never disputed the fact that you got facts. They just might omit some facts to make it favorable for one or the other. They're not outright lying about things, yet the current administration is saying that NPR and PBS literally lie. I don't understand how that's even okay. You know what I mean? It's just...
I do know what you mean.
It's just ridiculous. So they're going to cut all funding for them. Basically choke them to death is what they're going to do. And not in a good, I just paid this lady $50 after work to do. This is in the non-good way. So what'd you find, Free? I'm getting thirsty. Nothing?
Not finding, other than it was a social media post. I'm not even finding which platform.
Right. Because for all the administration talks about fake news, they are notorious for just putting shit out there. No fact checking, no nothing. And the devotees will drink that in. Drink that Kool-Aid, soak it in. It's sad. Let's move on to music, because music should make us feel better, because that's right before we get to the next half and have beer. Good. Beer is good. All right, so this week's music is from a British rock band formed in 2014. And ironically, the band's name is The Amazons. The name of the song is Love is a Dog from Hell, which I just thought was a great name for a song. Love is a dog from hell. But
now that I've corrected your spelling, I might get some better hits.
Probably not, but my spelling is pretty bad. Anything? TikTok?
Hold on, I'm still correcting your spelling.
It was that bad this time, huh? I'm not going to admit, I can't spell. Like, I sometimes use numbers and stuff. It's really bad. Like some of the show notes, when I'm putting the show notes together, sometimes the autocorrect just goes, I have no idea what you were talking about. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
There's the actual quote. I found that.
This should have probably been done earlier, right? Just want to put that out there. There's a lot of dead air. There's some people waiting for our song.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start the song. I can keep doing this while the song's going.
It's
You're in charge of this thing. I don't know why you're waiting on me to tell you to go. Pull the trigger, man. Let's pluck the chicken. Let's do this. Come on.
This is the Amazons. Love is a dog from hell.
Love is a dog from, love is a dog from, love is a dog from hell. Child of thunder, wild restless wonder, flash me a smile and I came to heal. I didn't ask for you, now I'm a madman. Why don't you put me to the like a razor's edge. Now that I found you, I can't deny you. You got me out in like a dog from hell. Love is a dog, love is a dog. Can you hear me, baby? Hear me howl. Shit.
What'd you think? Yeah, good stuff. Can't complain.
Kind of funny because looking at the video and the way, I would have expected those boys to be like Texas, maybe,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
just based on the video, or something like that. But nope, they're from Britain.
yeah. They are. All right, before we get started into
I don't know that they'll be the next British invasion,
no,
but
probably not. Not with a
good
sound like
solid
that.
sound.
So, before we get started, we usually do a beer. So I tried something new this week.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I did. This is called Allagash White. It's a Belgian style wheat beer right here. The unfortunate thing is that while I was looking at it, I saw a Belgian style white, and I'm like, I like those. And then when I got home and I read this, what?
is it citrus?
Yes, it is.
Ah,
Son of a
sorry.
bitch. Citrus, hazy, and refreshing. No, it's none of those. What'd you get? You still have a 12 pack or something. What? Rollin' Rock. Go with the classic Rollin'
Oh
Rock.
boys,
All boys at that. Cheers to you, my friend.
cheers.
Yeah, that is citrusy.
That just
Like
deserves another taste.
sucking on an orange. That's what that was like. All right, let's get into this week's stick style.
Mmm,
Man.
gamey.
So first up, PlayStation. PlayStation, how you task me. What is wrong with you, Sony? They just released their More Plus catalog for mid-May. And they're
Mid-May?
they're
When was this actually? Okay, the original posting was the 14th, so I'll give them mid-May on that.
okay. So you got Sandland, Soul Hackers 2, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, Battlefield 5, Stalker, Grand Blue Fantasy, Humankind, Story of Seasons, Gloomhaven Mercenaries. Again, I can't speak on any of those outside of Battlefield.
Battle Engine Aquila.
Okay, great.
I'll leave that one out.
Why can't you fucks just do this at the beginning of the month? Like a normal gaming company. Nobody's getting excited mid-month to go, hey, what's coming up next? Nobody does that. See, Microsoft releases all of theirs and they give you dates. And those dates indicate when they're going to come out. Like, we didn't have to wait till mid-May to find out that Doom's coming out. We heard about that at the beginning of the month, and we waited with bated breath. But nope.
Oh yes, we did.
Sony. Anyway, I don't want to trip on Sony again. Let's shift gears.
It's the same old story with Sony.
Oh,
We
it so
literally
is.
just need to record like a 30-second, and here's Sony's
Suctitude.
games, or even we could even go shorter than that. We can go, yeah, here's the link for Sony, and just move on.
Well, let's move on to something a little more nostalgic and something a little bit more fun. 20
Okay.
years ago, MTV revealed the 360. 20 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that happening, but I never like it back then, like because that's how long it's been since I've actually watched TV. It's been more than 20 years. I don't care for TV, never have.
Well, Fremont, let me break it down for
Once
you.
once they took MacGyver off the air,
It was May 12th of 2005, hosted by Elijah Wood. This was the introduction of microtransactions, really. And The microtransactions, ironically, was the introduction of our avatars with closing for said avatars. That's how you get the kind of microtransactions. And more importantly, the marketplace, which ended up being quite huge. And even more importantly, I might add, what us Gen Xers and especially Stick Style think was the best version of the Xbox interface, we got blades.
Yeah.
Remember the blades? The blades were they were perfect. Change up the color, make them newer, and put them back, please. Quite possibly the best interface we've ever had on an Xbox, hands down. You know what else is 20 years old?
Please
Leroy
don't say
Jenkins.
you're under. Okay.
World of Warcraft. The team stood outside of the dungeon, getting ready for the assault, crunching numbers and giving direction to each player to get the most success. And you suddenly hear a lone voice that said, "Time's up." And then with a battle cry, you heard, "Leroy Jenkins."
Jenkins. I love it.
He ran into the dungeon by himself and triggered the whole room to activate, and everybody died. And I actually have the sound. So if you want to indulge us, I have 2 minutes of the actual clip.
You gonna play the whole clip?
I'm going to play the whole 2-minute clip.
Cheers.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, guys, these eggs have given us a lot of trouble in the past. Does anybody need anything off this guy, or can we bypass him?
I think Leroy needs something from this guy.
Oh, he needs those devout shoulders? Isn't he a paladin?
Yeah, but that'll help him heal better. He'll have more mana.
Christ. Okay, well, what we'll do, I'll run in first, gather up all the eggs so we can kind of just, blast them all down with AoE. I will use Intimidating Shout to kind of scatter them so we don't have to fight a whole bunch of them at once. When my shout's done, I'll need Anthony to come in and drop his shout too, so we can keep them scattered, not to fight too many. When his is done, Bass, of course, will need to run in and do the same thing. We're going to need Divine Intervention on our mages, so they can AE, so we can, of course, get them down fast, because we're bringing all these guys. I mean, we'll be in trouble if we don't take them down quick. I think it's a pretty good plan, and we should be able to pull it off this time. What do you think, Abdul? Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32.33, repeating, of course, percentage of survival.
Oh, that's a lot better than we usually do.
Alright, thumbs up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Save him! Oh, geez, stick to the plan!
Oh Jesus, let's go.
Stick to the plan, Shove.
Stick to the plan!
Oh gee, oh fuck.
Give me Divine Intervention.
Hurry up.
Shout!
He's saying I can't cast. I can't move. Am I lagging, guys?
I can't move. What the hell? I can't AE. Oh my god.
The eggs keep spawning. More respawning.
I don't think you can cast with that shit. Oh my god.
Shout. Get off. I got it. Take it off.
Come on, stay down.
Oh my god.
God damn it, Leroy.
God damn it.
Leroy, you moron. Leroy.
Jimmy.
This is ridiculous.
I'm on it. So mass. I'm down, forking down. God damn it.
This is
I got killed before I could
we
remove
died
him.
on this. God. Oh,
See,
Spiffy res us.
Why do you do this shit, Leroy?
I'm trying.
It's not my fault.
Who's soul stoned?
We do have a soul stone out, don't we?
Anthony, you got soul stones?
Warlock.
Oh god.
Oh, for...
Great job,
What's up?
For Christ's sake. Leroy, you were just stupid as hell.
Over
At least I have chicken.
At least I have chicken. So the great part about this is there's a link in the show notes. Watch the video. The audio doesn't do it just enough justice. But essentially, they all run into the cave. They all die because everything spawned immediately. Their plan went to shit. And back in those days of Warcraft, like if you died in a dungeon raid or big raid, like you lost a lot of stuff that you had to go work and grind again to get. And one of the many interesting things of this clip was that the guy said, "You crunch some numbers. I have a 33% chance of survival. That's better than most times." Now, That was in what 2005 or 2003 or something like that. In 2017, it was determined that this was all a staged event. But it had gone down in the history books and is beloved by
Yeah.
all of us gamers because it was a perfect skit. It really was.
That dude became. They actually put a Leroy Jenkins NPC in the game.
Yep.
All kinds of stuff, man. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it literally just. You want to talk about an original,
Meme.
like Helldivers 2 now, like the way they embrace their community.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like the original embracing of the community of gamers for
Yeah.
WoW.
Yeah. 100%. And it's used. I mean, Mythic Quest, Family Guy. There's so many shows that have talked about this. They put it, like Primo said, they put it in other games. It's beloved by all of us gamers. All right. Speaking of Helldivers,
And you'll occasionally catch me yelling Leroy Jenkins when I get tired of waiting on Phoenix to figure out what we're doing in Helldivers.
that's correct.
I don't know if you hit it there, but I didn't hear it.
Oh, that's okay. It was hit.
Okay.
What, this one?
Douchebag.
Was that the one you're talking about?
I mean, we made it to the second half of the show before I got one today.
That is true. So in Helldivers news, they just got in Helldivers news, we got a huge update. The Illuminate have now begun their full attack. They've now got new tanks and support from the sky, which is terrifying, and they're heading directly to Super Earth. So when we talked earlier about the update that was coming, and the developer said you're going to shit your pants, if you pop into Helldivers because you haven't in a while, you will see that literally a black hole opened and suddenly everything came right at Super Earth. So we were defending our areas on the outskirts of the galaxy, say, and now they are literally right there in front of us. So it was a call to arms of all Helldivers, which I thought was, again, the game just hits all the time with that. We also got upgrades to weapons, and we got weapon customization. Now, I disagree with the weapon customization. I don't think this game needed that. It was just, this machine gun does this machine gun does that. Or the stalwart versus the machine gun, which was always an argument that you and I would have, which one's better. I don't think you need the customizations, but the new war bond is kind of interesting. Which has armor that looks a lot like World War II type armor. It's mostly black with red highlights. And it looks really cool, but it looks very much like one of those. Wish I could remember. Put my finger on it, but it was like a classic World War II-esque futuristic sci-fi show. Like they look like the Nazi pit helmets, but they're not Nazi pit helmets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're wearing goggles and masks all the time. Yeah, see, you're giving that same look, like you know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I'm trying to get the name.
Yeah, it was a game.
I'll call you about 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, that happens. Or we'd be in the middle of a game, and he'll go, wait, no, it was Fallout, or something. Anyway, so and now to wrap up, because we didn't have a whole lot this week in games, because there was one thing that was really kind of interesting everybody on the planet. It was Doom. And so the way this goes is I downloaded it. I don't know how I got to play it like the night before on the PC version. I don't know how that happened, but I did get to play it the night before, and I didn't buy the early access. But anyway, I preloaded it on the Xbox and on the PC. And the night before, I was just down in the studio doing some editing for the stick style highlights. And I just was like, let me launch it and see what happens. And it let me play it. I'm like, oh, I'm not telling anybody. Like I didn't let anybody know.
That's because he's spoofing his location. He was showing that he was like in France or something.
By the way, our sponsor this week in no connection is ExpressVPN. I'm kidding.
Right?
But I was able to play it a little bit early. First thing, I literally jumped into the first chapter. First thing I did was text Fremo. And I was like, I didn't even remember what exactly I wrote because I was exhausted. But I wrote something like, this is fucking amazing. And I'm like, you got to download this. So like the next day I was like, did you download it yet? And you're like, no. And then like the second day or that night, I was like, hey, did you grab that thing yet? And you're like, no. But on that next morning, he must have downloaded it overnight because the following morning, I got a message from him.
Dark Ages is effing outstanding.
Oh, yeah, that's what that.
Multiplayer was my reply.
Oh, yes. And I said,
Nope.
no.
Did you download it yet? No, I haven't. Well, you should, obviously.
So all I can say off
And he
the cuff,
says, yes, incredible game. Might be game of the year contender. And then I finally played it. And I said, it is awesome. You're going to be in the studio tonight because I wanted to get online and talk while we were playing about the game. It is freaking phenomenal.
I dare say,
Like the one, and there was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with, and I can't remember the name of it now because this was just taking over my brain. But the one right
Eternal?
before this,
Eternal.
Doom Eternal, yeah. Great game as well. Love the gameplay. It's 100% Doom. There's two things that, and maybe it's just because my hands don't work the way they used to, but the attaching to a wall to climb, and then the lack of ability to sprint.
Right.
Both those things completely gone in Dark Ages. Like they fixed those, and those were the only two things. Those are just nitpicky things, right? Those are the only two things, and both of those are taken care of. That game is fantastic.
So first thing I like to talk about is Fremo's arthritis. Who's why he can't work Eternal. Anyway.
It's not arthritis. This finger right here,
it was sliced.
Doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Because I cut it to the bone.
Yes, I remember that.
Try. You have to relearn a controller.
Oh, yeah.
You have to grip it completely different. You have to, the muscle memory of this finger doesn't just automatically transition.
Yeah.
So I'm literally having to learn some gameplay completely different.
So out of the categories that we usually use, again, multiplayer, there isn't any, so we can't even utilize that category, unfortunately. They have no intention, as far as I have read, they have no intention of doing a multiplayer, but that doesn't mean it's out of a realm of possibility.
It looks good. That strong that even without multiplayer, I'm totally on board with the buzz about Game of the Year. Absolutely.
It looks great, as a Doom game should. You have Doom 1, Doom 2, we don't talk about Doom 3, Doom 64. Those three games kind of set the tone. Doom Eternal gave you more of the lore. Well, yeah, I would say gave you more of the lore. But to me and the people I've talked about, and Fremo and I have discussed it as well, I thought Doom Eternal, while a great game that looked great, it was too busy. The screen was too busy. I had too many options that I had to do every 5 seconds. The climbing on the wall, I had to use the right stick to activate the climb and then climb. Like there was a pain in the ass in a lot of respects. This Doom Dark Ages took away all of that, and you gave Gen Xers the one thing that we always desire in a game. You gave us a shield and a parry attack with the shield. Really, that's it. That's if you want to get
shield.
Yeah, if you want to get all the Gen Xers into gaming for your game, and we're the ones that have money, that's what you want to do in your game. Give us a block and give us a parry. That's easy to do. So what I did, as I always do, for stick style and for recording purposes and trials, I put it on the easiest setting. Fremo does not. So the take that we have,
Jenkins.
The take that we both individually have on the game is the same yet different. So for instance, for me, I might have to actually bump it up because it is a little too easy. Like I'm clearing out an area very quick. Where at the same time when we're chatting while we're gaming, Fremo's telling me like, you got to keep your head on the swivel. You're definitely gonna have a lot of fun, but it's fun. You're running out of ammo or whatever the case is, but you're having fun doing it. I'm not having those issues.
Well, I mean, the one thing that made Doom back in the day, you had to keep moving.
Yeah.
You had to keep moving. Even if you were out of ammo, you had to keep moving because you had to go find that health box or a shard of armor or something just to stay alive long enough to possibly, turn it around. And this game delivers on that 110%. You keep moving, keep sticking,
And you get 3 choices for upgrades, not just
you can literally come back from like almost dying to if you can keep moving, get a couple of good hits in, because one thing that they do now is when you kill a demon, it's dropping health, it's dropping ammo, it's dropping whatever. So you can be out of ammo, but you still have a melee hit, and you melee hit somebody, pick up a little health, grab some ammo, and you're back in the game.
Which they did in Eternal, but this game really kind of makes it more important.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that the three options you have for upgrades at any given time is your weapon, and of course you have the option for any of the weapons, your shield, and your gauntlet, which is your melee attack. And you sit there and you think about, like, you read it. When you first play this game, you pause for a second, you're like, oh, I'm going to, like other games, you're like, I'm going to upgrade my shield. Oh, no, I'm going to upgrade my guns because that's what I'm using all the time. No, read them because you really think about this shit now. You're like, okay, if I use this, because I use this attack a lot. If I use this, I want to get more shield. But then after a while, you're like, okay, but if I'm using this one to get more shield and I use this gun, but this is going to give me shield too, maybe I should swap that over. Like there's a little, but there's not a lot of them. There's just a few, maybe 5 per weapon. And you're really going, oh, wow, should I do that?
Yeah, do I need that?
Do I need that? Am I going to do that? Like, for instance, I did the multiple attack. That was one of the first things I did with my shield is the multiple attack. So if I have a guard that has a shield and I've worn down the shield, as soon as I throw my shield, it'll ricochet between all of them, which is definitely good. The boss battles that you come across are interesting to say the least because your current weapon or your favorite weapon might not be the best weapon for it. Whereas other games, you would have to pick that weapon or have to find that weapon. In the new Doom game, you can use whichever weapon you want. It's just it might take you a little bit longer, depending on what it is. Now, I can see the appeal for when I'm at, I go up to the level that Fremo's at, where I'm going to really think about it and be like, all right, this ammo is dropping a lot here, which means I should probably be using this weapon. But in the easier one that I'm running through now, I'm making sure that I 100% like most of the maps, which are, again, fun. Like this has replay value. Like I'm on chapter like 6 or 7, and I've already gone back to chapters 1 and 2 with the current weapons and stuff that I have to 100% those, and it's still fun. Because I'm like, okay, man, how do I get down here? Your map is phenomenal. Like, I really can't find anything bad to say right now about that game outside of not having multiplayer or at least co-op. Co-op would be exciting. Co-op would be fun.
Co-op would be fun.
Yeah. Co-op would be even more fun if you could shoot each other. Like, did you just shoot me? Maybe.
How would you even track that? Because it's fast. When you get
really fast.
When you get to an area and the demons are just popping up all around, it's not. I mean, it's not like you can go through a pathway and then okay, you see this big arena area that's coming up, so you know there's going to be demons in it. It's not like you can just sit at that entryway and kill everybody from a distance.
So here's another thing.
They're not activating till you get in there, and then they're spawning all around you constantly. I love it.
Here's another thing that I would recommend to anybody that's starting to play it is when you get a new weapon or a new skill set or a new anything, there's a pop-up that comes up on the side. Now, most of us gamers have been gaming so long that we're just like, yeah, I got a new gun, whatever. Or, yeah, I got a new option for my shield. I'll get it. I'll figure it out. No, read it. And there might be 2 pages. Look at those 2 pages and read those because they will give you hints at certain things. Like there might be a certain point. I'm not going to spoil it for Freemo or other people, but there's a point where you get a new option. If you bypass that read, you're going to be standing in the middle of a spot and you're going to go, what the hell do I do from here? Without looking up. And then when you look up, you're going to be like, well, what do I do with that? If you don't read the new piece that's there. So don't bypass those, just read those. The game, like, I cannot tell you how many times before work, after work, before I went to bed, I would jet down here. And that's only been 3 or 4 days that I would come down here and be like, okay, I gotta get in like 20 minutes. I got 20 minutes before I have to start making dinner. Let me just pop in, maybe finish the chapter. And it's cross-platform. So I've been playing a lot on the PC, and last night, Freemo jumped on. So there was something, of course, happened with audio on the computer. So I just jumped over to, actually, no, it was because you had a power outage at your house. For some reason, my chat, the chat that we were in just completely collapsed. So I just fired up the Xbox, jumped onto the game that I was already saved there, and used the Xbox game chat on the Xbox console as opposed to the one on the PC. Worked fine. but the game is phenomenal. I encourage everybody. It's free on Game Pass. I don't feel that you need to buy the extra stuff. This is one of the few games that I did not buy like the bonus edition or anything like that. It's a couple of skins, but I mean, all I can say is like one of the spoilers I will give you free and our listeners is you fly a fucking dragon with guns. Okay? That's I just it just like
it's great, man.
I had to
It
pour
is
I
it
had to
is
pause
100% nostalgic for me, and also 100% modern gaming
Yes, yes,
at the same time,
yes. I had a
which
tear
is
come
not
to my
something
eye.
easy to do.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So go check it out. It's definitely got our endorsement, and not to mention, besides our endorsement, I think for Stick Style, it's possibly one of the Game of the Year editions. It's possibly a Game of the Year. Very close. I don't have a whole lot of the other games that I'm thinking about that we've recorded. Even Wreckfest 2, which is phenomenal, and we can't wait for that to come out. Tokyo Extreme Racer 2025, another one that is about to come out. In fact, they just pushed that back to September, which I'm fine with. Let it cook. Let that game cook. That might be one of the best racers out in a very long time. But make no mistake, Doom Dark Ages is definitely in the top 3 contention already for Game of the Year. So let's get into for what it's worth. So what we're going to talk about and for what it's worth today is a subject that came up, which kind of surprised me, yet didn't surprise me. And that's ending support for legacy tech. Now, with Windows 10 coming to the end of life, which we thought was funny, we talked about it on the show before, and Fremo and I have definitely talked about it privately, is that it's just like, hey, we're ending Windows 10. Y'all need to buy new computers. But we're not ending Windows 10 for Outlook. And we're going to continue to do Enterprise. You don't have to worry about it for, another 5-6 years. Like, are you ending support or are you not ending support? Like Microsoft
They are until enough people don't. And then they'll continue. That's so Microsoft. I mean, they end of life for XP happened what 12 times.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
I mean,
yes, it did. And there's still restaurants and stuff that use the XP platform because that's what their service program is on. So ending support for legacy tech is it a good idea? Spurring the topic this week was the Google/Nest ending support for their first generation of Nest thermostats. This is where I have the problem. So a Nest thermostat, which my wife and I were going to purchase a couple of them because we're a Nest family here. We have cameras, we have a door, like we have a lot, and we enjoy the product. And we were going to buy a Nest thermostat way back, but then we realized that okay, we don't have a central air conditioning. So it's just going to be heat, and we really don't need it for that because the key to these electronic thermostats is that you have the ability to have your air conditioner turn on at a certain time, your heat turn on at a certain time, and we just didn't feel that we needed that right now. And the first thermostat was released in 2011. And as of October 25th, you will no longer be able to adjust the device through the Google Assistant or the Nest/Google app. Only on the thermostat itself, which kind of defeats the purpose and the lure of having one of these type of things where you can sit there and say, I'm leaving work. The wife and I are leaving work at 5. We're going to turn on the heat now. By the time we get home in half an hour, the house is going to be nice and
so
heated.
you'll have to get a new thermostat. It's basically what you're.
Well, yeah, you have a lot of other choices from like
if you want to continue the convenience of
correct
manipulating it remotely.
Correct. You're going to have to go with like a Honeywell.
I got news for you.
What's that?
As soon as you put an Internet of Things device in your home, this is something you might as well go ahead and save and plan for because it's all going that way.
I agree.
As opposed to my thermostat where I walk over and I go a little
move it
slide
side to
thing on
side.
top.
In the UK, they're not going to be able.
Colder.
In the UK, they're not going to be able to use the device at all anymore. Why would you do that? And October 25th, why would you do this right before the cold season? Why would you do that? Why would you not wait? Like it just Google sometimes, well, Google often doesn't make any sense. They make about as much sense as Microsoft. How many users will actually know about this? Probably not many. Not many at
Yeah.
all, because they're not reading news all the time. It's not broadcast on TV. Just one day
So
they're gonna not be
this
able to have
doesn't
access.
change, and I'm not advocating. This is just my brain coming up with how the only way to solve this issue is it'll have to be government mandated that if you're going to end of life support something, you have to give the consumer some sort of an upgrade at cost. Like,
No, they did that. They did that. If you wanna buy
but
a good.
but not that the consumer has to buy the thermostat, but they may have to pay for installation or something like that. But you have to give them the new version of whatever it is you are no longer supporting.
So here's how wonderful Google got around this. Google got around this by saying that we're ending support on the app, we're ending support on the website, the Google website. We're ending the support on those. We're not ending support on the newest ones. The newest ones are still going to
Right.
be out. And what Google did was Google turned around and said, "Well, we're not ending support. You can still use the thermostat. You're just not going to get all the full features." Well, that kind of defeats the purpose of getting this in the first place because that was part of what you
And
got.
that's what I'm saying. Unless the
But wait, it
government
gets
mandates you have to make a consumer whole.
so what they did was they turned around to skate around that. What they did was you're going to get a significant discount on the 4th generation of the Nest thermostat. You still have to buy it. You still have to swap out your thermostat and still set it up. There's a lot of people that just simply don't remember how to do that, or they bought into it on the first month and they never changed it, never even thought about it. Shit, I have lights. I have Philips Hue light bulbs that I control with my phone. My wife and I do. That haven't been changed in over a decade, and they still work great. But the day's going to come where one of these go out, or we're going to need an extra one, and I'm going to forget how the hell to set them up, let alone put them on the app or anything like that. And I can guarantee you that there will never be any open source for this device to make it useful for the future. It's Google. They're never going to open source this shit. Never. Not in a million years. They're going to own it. And so for questions, so the question really is, this device is 14 years old. Is 14 years enough? I mean, it is an appliance for your home. It's kind of like saying that your fridge suddenly stops working after 10 years. Like, what's the quality of life?
It it doesn't matter, man. Nothing's made. Nothing will ever again, at least in our lifetime, unless there's some huge, massive shift in worldwide sentiment.
Well,
Nothing's made to last more than 5 to 10 years.
But it should still be
Most
able to
things aren't made to last beyond
5.
You wanna get into a conspiracy theory real quick?
Why not?
When you're buying something at Target, Walmart, Best Buy, wherever, and it comes with a 1 year or 2 year or 3 year warranty, depending on what you're getting, and they offer to sell you the additional, well, we can upgrade you to 5 years for this or blah, blah, blah. I want to do a study
Okay.
where we buy the exact same thing from the exact same retailer.
Okay.
One of us purchases the extended warranty, one of us doesn't.
Okay.
And I guarantee you, the one that doesn't, their device breaks plus or minus 30 days of their warranty.
I would
The
agree.
one that does buy it, same thing, but they get an extra 2 years because they paid for 2 years.
It doesn't make sense, and it is a conspiracy theory because working in retail, I can tell you there's no facts behind that. But also in working in retail, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that happen. It happens.
But you're buying that warranty, and someone's getting that information along with the serial number, and you're connecting it to the internet, and lo and behold, same device. One person buys the extended warranty, one doesn't. The extended one magically lasts plus or minus 30 days of warranty ending.
I'm not saying that's outside of the realm of possibility because there was a long time that people said that we weren't being listened to on our devices. Yet here we go. We posted on the show that we actually were being listened to on the devices. But again, another point for this whole thing of legacy devices, my Casio watch still tells time. Yet my first edition Apple Watch doesn't do much. I pay premium for it, but yet it's useless now. You know,
Yeah.
I've had another example with the Apple Watches,
By
especially
design.
with the Apple Watch. And again, by design, I don't disagree with you. The Apple Watch is a great example because if you're out of Apple Care, which only lasts 2 years, and you don't extend it, and your watch has a bad battery doesn't hold, or you get a crack in the screen, it is pretty much, and I do mean close. The cost to repair is the same as the cost to buy a new phone, maybe $50 difference, or a new watch rather. There really is no difference, and that's how they're kind of doing it. What will happen when this stuff just kind of all goes sideways? Why can the watch not be updated to tell time again? Why can the watch not? Will my original watch, if I charge it up, work and tell it the right time? Maybe. Will it connect to my phone? No. So it's really a problem. But again, on the technology side that I was looking at, you have on the other side of the spectrum, you have the things that are progressing. But again, this falls under the same thing. So announced this week was one of my favorite car utilities, which is CarPlay. Apple just announced CarPlay Ultra. I still feel that this is the best interface for your phone. I think it's way above Android Auto. CarPlay is essentially an extension of your phone in your car. Now, some manufacturers have used it, very few have not. But there is a CarPlay option in your vehicles. Why are you shaking your head?
I just think it's funny
Why?
that CarPlay is so superior to Android Auto.
I think it is. I think it is
Okay.
way superior to
I
Android
see
Auto.
both of them side by side, and you can do so much more with Android Auto.
Again, this is the difference between Apple people and Android people, and we've talked till we're
Right.
blue in the face on this. I'm an Apple
This
person.
is
You're
the
an Android
difference
person.
between sheeple and me.
Oh my God, you are so full of shit. Look, the car. If you're an Apple person, you enjoy your iPad and you enjoy your iPhone, you enjoy the interface and the connectivity and the ease of use. The CarPlay is perfect. If you're an Android user and you enjoy the freedom and the openness of Android's operating system, you're going to get that on the Android Auto. I'm not denying any of that. What I'm saying is that unlike Android Auto, Apple in working or trying to build their own car, which they have abandoned, came out with the CarPlay Ultra. It's an entire concept of all the screens in these newer cars. The passenger
Mhm.
side, the driver's side, the middle, the back. So you can control all those. It's a very, very cool interface. I have a picture in the show notes where even your main display in front of your steering wheel, you can change it like you can with a lot of other vehicles. You can change it, you can customize it, but you have a little bit more customization. You can change colors, you can change
We're on the
settings, you can
second
change
class.
where they are. So it's a very cool interface. And if you have an Apple product and you've not used CarPlay in your car, then the
Including
infotainment
Stevie.
the infotainment system in your car is garbage.
I mean,
If that's what you've been using, whether it's an
yeah.
Infinity or a Ford or
Okay.
anything else,
We'll see.
it's absolute heart garbage, the infotainment system that comes from a manufacturer. Even Fremo would agree that using his Android Auto is way more beneficial than using the car's internal infotainment system. It's awful. None of these car
I don't know,
companies,
man. My VW's got a pretty slick system.
but a lot of them aren't as good as CarPlay and Android Auto. They're just not.
Oh, I still use my Android Auto because
Right.
it's awesome.
But again, it's car
My wife
manufacturers.
prefers using the VW stuff versus Apple CarPlay.
Sure. My wife uses hers in her car as opposed to CarPlay. I don't even think her car has CarPlay, which is weird. Anyway, some companies do not have CarPlay, but the infotainment system that's built into these cars is awful. Instead of getting your phone interface on your dash, you have this weird convoluted entertainment system that may or may not synchronize with Bluetooth, may or may not play your song, may not allow you to fast forward. Just like there's a lot going on. But the Apple one is a very cool concept. And it's far better than all the other car makers' choices, without a doubt. And look them up because you'll see. And if you have a car that has an infotainment system, try it. It's pretty awful. The Apple CarPlay Ultra and Android Auto, it's deeply integrated and fully customizable. There's a video in the show notes that you can take a look and see what they're going to do. It puts information on all the car screens, including real-time gauges. It has made such an impact with other car makers after seeing it in the new Aston Martin. By the way, nobody can afford. That they are finally giving up on their
It's
crappy
Aston.
infotainment systems. Yeah.
Austin's in Texas.
Yeah, sorry, Aston Martin. But they're finally giving up on their crappy infotainment systems and embracing these different ones and saving a lot of money by embracing CarPlay as opposed to trying to manufacture their own infotainment system.
You
What?
know who isn't?
What?
Mercedes.
Well, there's a lot of companies that. So we're going to get into that in a second. Most listen to the
Mercedes said, no, we are not interested in Apple taking over our cars.
That sounds very Mercedes. Most listeners of the
Who
show.
else is it on the list?
Wait, hold on.
Of
I'm going to get
course.
to the list. I'm going to get to the list. Most of the listeners that listen to the show can't afford an Aston Martin. If you can, please send me and Fremo one. We'd be really happy about that. But other automakers are going to be adding it as an option, of course, with the price. Within the next year, you'll be able to see CarPlay Ultra in Kia, Hyundai, and Genesis. Now, I can speak on those three models that their infotainment system is really good. So I'm surprised that they embraced CarPlay. I can only assume it's a cost-effective thing. But other makers that are on board supposedly are Acura, Audi, Ford. God, thank you. Ford's is brutal. Honda, Infiniti, Jaguar. I don't even know what Jaguar's doing anymore as a company. They're just off on the edge. Land Rover, Lincoln. Mercedes did say they're thinking about it, but they're probably not because they're really not into that. Nissan, Polestar, Porsche, of course, because Porsche was very close with Apple. They were part of the test bed for CarPlay originally and still. Renault and Volvo. They all said that they'd be using it, but that was about 3 years ago. So we're still waiting. Not on the list is Toyota and GMC Chevy. And ironically, I have
BMW.
BMW's not. Yeah. I have a GMC in the driveway.
Volkswagen.
And I have GMC in the driveway and I have a Toyota in the driveway. I can tell you that Toyota's infotainment system is hot garbage and they have no intention of doing CarPlay. GMC said they're going to be discontinuing CarPlay in the latest vehicles to opt for their newer infotainment system. My Yukon does have CarPlay in it, and I don't think that was a big part of me buying vehicles.
And Chrysler.
They're useless. They're just barely a company.
They've got a Jeep sitting out here. And
it's not a Jeep anymore.
The infotainment center thing in there is it's brutal.
They're barely a Jeep company. It's not Jeep anymore. Like it says Jeep on it, but it's not. And these companies that have really bad infotainment systems should be embracing this. And like you said, BMW has not. Porsche's wasn't that bad. There's other Kia, Genesis. Those had good infotainment systems, and they are thoroughly embracing this. So I'm really curious to see how this goes because, again, back to what we started this whole segment with, when will these be obsolete? Like I had an Infiniti not too long ago, a G35, an X35, that had an infotainment system, but the Bluetooth didn't work with today's Bluetooth at all. It had Bluetooth in it, but it wouldn't connect. So there's a lot of these little issues that were a problem. And I just hope that it doesn't fail again. That would suck. So Fremo's stepping away. I just want to say that if you have one of these cars, if you have any sort of access to CarPlay, use it because it is next level, especially if you have an iPhone. I've seen the Android Auto and it's good. I just prefer CarPlay and CarPlay Ultra, having those screens that are adjustable on every screen in these newer vehicles. Newer vehicles are coming with a screen on the passenger side, in the center console. The entire dash screen is digital. So having access to whether it's CarPlay or Android Auto on all of these screens, I think is going to be a huge leap forward. Let's just hope that they don't just suddenly I have an iPhone 12, but it's not compatible with my car. That is never a sentence that should come out of your mouth, ever. I should not have to buy a new phone to make it compatible with my car. That's bullshit. So, all right. Do you have anything?
That's going to happen. I mean, you already have to buy a new watch to make it compatible with your phone.
That is true. So it wouldn't surprise me. But do you have anything else this week, good sir?
No, I'm good.
All right. That's it for this week. 10's Down. Show's over.
Whoop, whoop.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.